Hi everyone, this is Sue Reynolds, and we are doing our last video, our last meeting with steering team members, and it's kind of fun to have worked through all of those foundations and come up with activities that are targeted and really promise to have big bang for the buck. And so now we're just looking at some odds and ends, some year-end tasks. So I'm just going to walk through the online system and just kind of go over these with you. So we'll open the online system here. Oops. And you can see that I've moved over to the counselor tab. So we've been working here on the foundations tab, and now I'm doing the year-end tasks on the counselor tab. So I'm going to scroll down, and you can see there's 3 sections. One is to prepare for next year. The other one is to look a little bit at professional development, and then finally at advocating for your program. So, okay, so the first thing we're doing is we're watching this video, and then in the next part, there's an optional activity. This is a Gantt chart tool that if you wanted to create a timeline for when different programs are going to occur during the year, you can just click here on enter, and you get the tool where you can enter items to put onto the Gantt chart. And then when you go back, and I have to make sure I'm on the counselor tab again. I am. When I go back to the Gantt chart and look at the report, then I get this nice little report that has the months and my different tasks, and any task that you've entered months for, it'll make a nice little bar there to show you what months the activity or the program is happening in. So right now for demo school, I've only entered months for one activity, but you can kind of see how this would work. So this is an optional activity. Don't have to do it, but it's there as a tool if you'd like to help guide your implementation. Then the next is to enter the school counseling program budget. So if you don't have a budget, instead you can upload a letter or a memo requesting funds to your principal or to a service club in your community or whoever. But if you do have a budget, then here's a nice little tool. I'm going to click here, and you can see you can put in here that you're getting ABC books, and then the line item. So this would be, where is it? This would be supplies, and then some budget notes. Maybe you're doing 10 books, 10 at $20 a piece, and then you're going to type in what the budget would be. And you might just want to put in 1 year's worth of budget, or you can go out for 4 years. And then save, and then you can put in, let's do one more. Let's say we're going to do mileage, and we're putting this under travel, and we're saying that we're going to do 10 miles at, I think it's 0.055. I think that's the current mileage rate. I'm not exactly sure. And then let's see, if we multiplied that out, that would be $5.45. So, okay, and I'm going to save again. Okay, so we just keep adding more budget items. And then the nice thing is that in the report that prints out, there we go. In the report that prints out, you can see that it's going to make a document for me, a budget, and it will divide all of my expenditures by line items. So I use this tool all the time, not just for RSC purposes, but anytime I have to do a budget for anything, I just use this this tool because it just makes the report really easy. So okay, so that's the budget, and then we're entering a guidance lesson plan. So for those of you who maybe have done RSC with other schools, the rubric item for this has changed. We used to, with Gold Star, ask for 9 different lesson plans. This time, we just want to see some evidence that you know how to make a lesson plan. However, ASCA would like you to submit lesson plans for one of your groups so that they have some evidence that you're doing group counseling. So what we're asking you to do is to take one of your groups, and if it's a group that meets 6 times, then you would create 6 lesson plans, one for each meeting, and then just submit it to us to review. So to a couple of things, remember that you can search for lesson plans. So we talked about this last month. And if you find a lesson plan that you like, I'm just going to do a quick search. And if you find a lesson plan that you like, you can just click Import into my school's lesson plans. And that will take everything that's in there and put it into a lesson plan in your school. And it will give a citation to the original author. And then you can go in and edit it to make it maybe better fit your school. But it just is a really good way to, one, explore lessons, but then 2, to save some time because you can just import a lesson that somebody else wrote. So that's a big time saver. Okay, then if you are entering a lesson plan, let me go back to the counselor page. If you are entering a lesson plan, we're going to, where is it? Here it is. We're going to click enter. And you can see I already have some lesson plans in there. But we're going to enter a lesson plan that you create. So click this button. And then you're just going to enter the lesson title, what grade levels it's for. If this is a lesson that you've somehow tweaked to close a gap, you would want to say that, I'm providing this lesson for all students, but I'm going to tweak it in a way that it's going to draw in boys maybe at a greater rate. What the setting is, what the delivery method is. Remember, we talked last month about editing your delivery methods. So if you want to look at other ways that your guidance lessons might be provided for students, you can adjust that. In this section, we're looking at the indicators that the lesson will address. So we can look through all of the different indicators. And then the lesson plan type. So it's academic, career, personal, social, emotional. A summary of the lesson, and this is short, maybe, I don't know, just a paragraph. And again, we're just trying to kind of say, what's going to happen, who's going to deliver the lesson, who's participating. There are some specific criteria that ASCA has. You need to say what the focus of the lesson is, which counselor is going to deliver the lesson, and how many students will be participating in the group that will be doing that lesson. So that's spelled out in the rubric. How much time is required, and then the procedure. And I'd suggest that you do the procedure just like a cookbook, to say, step 1, do this, step 2, do this. Imagine that a counselor in another building is going to read your lesson and replicate it, so you're telling them exactly what to do. How are you going to evaluate the lesson? And then we give you a save button. Keeping going, the resources needed, so what the resource is, and then the website or the resource location. You can also upload a resource. So I think last month I showed you an example of where a counselor gave a link to an online career interest inventory, but then they uploaded a worksheet for you to use. So, yeah, citations. And then are there collaborative partners? So you may be doing this like with teacher advisors. So your teacher advisor would be the partner. Or maybe this is a lesson that you're going to do with your Chamber of Commerce, and so they would be the partner. And then finally, just any additional information. Once all of that is completed, then this part will become live. Right now it's not live, but we're giving you the option to publish this in our database so that other schools can search and find lessons that you've created. So you would just check off, yes, my lesson plan is complete. I give ASA permission to make that lesson part of the database. And then in addition to your name and school, what other information do you want to share? So do you want to give people, your email address or your phone number in case they have a question about the lesson and want to follow up with you. Yeah, so that's that. That is putting in a lesson. So we'll go back to the process page. And that is the preparation section. Make sure you look at the rubric items. And I've written the rubric items for the lesson plans here for the group lesson plans. You can put in other lesson plans too. Just we need to make sure, one, that you know how to do a lesson plan, and you'll demonstrate that when you submit the first one to us. And then for ASCA purposes, we need to see the lesson plans for one of your groups that you do. Okay, in professional development, we just need you to upload a professional development evidence. So this time we've given you an uploader button, and basically any professional development, you can just, you know, do a photo of the agenda for a professional development activity. You could actually, you could take a photo of this screen that you're looking at right now, and you know, upload that as evidence that you've participated in professional development, or any memo that you've gotten from us about redesigning school counseling. So just something that proves that you've participated in professional development. And then professional membership evidence, that needs to be just one person from your school. We know in a lot of schools there's one person who's a member of ASCA, and then they share ASCA information with everybody, or ISCA, or ICAC. So that evidence could be a membership card. It could be the cover of a publication that has your mailing label on the outside of it that shows that you're a member, and that's why you're getting that publication. It could be a confirmation email that your membership application was accepted. Just something that shows that your department is involved in professional development. So, okay. And then finally, in the program advocacy, these are some narrative questions that ASCA's interested in, and you'll develop them here, and then when you fill out your ASCA application, we'll transfer them over. But basically, you're just clicking the enter button. And as you do these, they'll be checked off. So I would suggest also that this is a place where you delegate responsibilities. So maybe, you know, you split up. If there's 2 counselors, each of you does half. They're short answer questions. Don't spend tons of time on these. So just as an example, counseling services, that one for demo school, we've already done. So it has a check on it. But if I open that up, I can show you how simply we did this. Please describe the counseling services provided by your school counseling program, crisis counseling, group counseling, consultation. Anytime you want to make a list, make it with an asterisk or a dash, and then just save. And when you save, there will be a check then in that box, or before that list. Then also in some of these, we think we know what the answer was because you're participated in RSC. So on any that we think we know the answer to, we've gone ahead and put an answer in for you. And let me show you an example. If I go down to the mission statement, because you participated in RSC, we think this is what you did. The mission statement was developed by the school counseling steering team after the school counseling council created the vision statement. And then there's more. So you can just use this as is, or edit it, or if it doesn't match what your school did at all, just take it out and start over. So yeah, and then there's other questions, you know, so make sure you're answering all of them, but short answers. Yeah, short answers. So, okay. So those are the narrative questions. And again, just, you know, we just need to make sure that you've answered them. So short answers would be very acceptable. A lot of those answers are also expressed in your minutes. When we were talking with ASCA, we asked, you know, could we verify from your minutes that those things were answered, but they wanted to see the actual answers. So, so yeah, please answer those things there. So, okay, so narrative questions. Upload a job description. If you already have a job description, great, just upload it. If you want a sample, here's a sample that we've written that kind of goes along with RSC. So take a look at that. And then there's these management agreements that that ASCA has. And we've just quickly divided this into 3 parts to make it easy for you. The first part is information about your program. So for all of your counselors, this would be the same. So we've pulled some information from DOE's website about your school, but we just need you to kind of fill in the blanks. This is just information about your school counseling program. So we just need one person to do those. Then in the next section, we've asked you to answer questions about each school counselor. It's individual counselor information. So in that section, oops, let me back up. That is a section where you're going to have a form that looks like this for each of your counselors. So it's, you know, who's the counselor of the year, and then what professional development is that counselor doing, what's their caseload, what are their activities that they deliver, collaboration, and then the school counselors counseling hours for that counselor. Okay, so it could be that just your counseling director or, you know, somebody fills that out for all the counselors, or you could, you know, pass those out and each counselor fills that out. Okay, so then going back, the third part is the signature sheet, and you can download that signature sheet and then upload it so that it's on file in your online system. And basically the signature sheet looks like this, and we're simply putting the year up here. There's one sheet. The counselor signs off that they've read the annual counselor agreement report, which is the first 2 parts that we just looked at. They've looked at the addendum for each of the school counselors. That was the second sheet that we looked at. And that the principal has discussed or will discuss in the future any concerns that they have regarding the annual counselor agreement report. So principal signs off, and then each of the counselors signs off. I have read the annual agreement. That's the first 2 parts. And then I have discussed or will discuss in the future any concerns that I have regarding the annual agreement with my principal. So basically everybody's just making a promise to talk to each other if there's issues with this agreement. So, okay, so that's that. So the assurances statement, this is just a couple of things that we needed to verify that really there was nothing you could submit. So we're just asking you to tell us about it. So if I open that, basically we're just asking you to assure that the school counseling program meets all rules and regulations regarding school counseling found within Indiana Code. All staff members who provide counseling services are appropriately licensed by the state as a licensed school counselor, school social worker, school psych. The school counseling program is coordinated by a licensed school counselor. The school counselors adhere to the ASCA ethical standards. Counselors have a private office or space that promotes confidentiality. And then exhibits, all the exhibits that you've been sending us all year, all the submissions are truly represent the school counseling program and practices. So you're just signing off, the school counselor on behalf of your program signing off, principal signing off, and then just upload that to us. Okay, program brochure. If you have a program brochure, just upload it to us. If you don't have one, we've given you a link here to a Google search that will give you a gazillion different program brochures from that different school counselors have posted online. So that will give you some ideas. The public relations evidence, that could be anything that you're doing to promote your program. So if you gave a little speech at the beginning of the school year to your teachers about school counseling services, if there was an agenda for that meeting, you know, just submit that. Or if there's no agenda, but you know, just ask your principal to sign a statement saying that you that you presented your school counseling program to your teachers. If you've ever presented to the school board, you could do the same thing. If there's ever been an article about your program in a newspaper or online, anything that you're doing to promote your program, that you're doing public relations. So just upload that. The next one, networking evidence, is just evidence that you talk with other school counselors. So if you are a part of Counselor Talk and you've ever submitted an inquiry, you could just, print that and then upload it. If you attend meetings with all the counselors in your district, like I know you have for RSC, you could just submit an email about that, or write a statement and have Jen or Mark sign it that you participate in networking with with other school counselors in your district. If if even it can even be within your school. There's more than one counselor in your school that you sit down and have discussions about school counseling. So really just some kind of evidence that yes, you network with other counselors. And then the last one is in this section is ASCA requires that you present your school counseling program that you've created through RSC to your school board. And there's a couple ways to do that. One is that you could go to your school board and present your program. If you do that, I would present your focus goals and the activities that you're going to put in place to drive those focus goals. So that's one option, but with social distancing that we're all having right now, that may not be possible. So another thing you could do, which is really quite easy, is if you click this button, it's going to open up your the place where you can publish your school counseling program online. So what you could do, and we talked about this last month about how to publish it, but you could publish that program online. And when you do that, I'm just going to open up all the published portfolios, and we'll open up Austin's. You can see that I could copy this URL, send it to the school board, and ask them, tell them, we've been working so hard on RSC, and let them know these are the finished products, these are the foundations and the activities that we've come up with. But I would specifically ask them to look at your focus goals and your activities, because that's really the meat of your program, what you're working really hard on right now. So, so all you have to do is send them the URL. It could be that in your districts that Jen or Mark maybe send their school board all of the URLs for the schools that are participating in RSC. So that's something you can talk about at the school level, just how are we going to get this information in front of your school board. So, okay, I'm going to go back and one more. I'm going to unpublish. Now that's demo school is not published. And I guess I could go back to the program page. There we go. Okay. So yeah, so that's the last thing in that section. The last thing to do is to look at the rubric items, and then just you're good to go. So okay, and then the very last step here is just to tell us that you're all finished. Up until this point, because we encourage you to constantly improve your program, and we give you feedback, and and we ask you to do revisions, and you're doing them, but we never know when you're totally finished making little adjustments to your program. So as a very last step, you're just going to click this submit button, and there's really nothing for us to review because we've reviewed everything already before we got to this point. So this is just your way of letting us know that you're totally finished with all of your RSC work. And when you click that button, boy, oh boy, I think you'll probably be hooting and hollering, because you've done a ton of work this year. So totally finished, no more edits. Click this button. And then you can go to this section to see a list of schools that have told us that they're completely finished and they're not making any more edits to their RSC online system. Your central office will also be able to access that list, so they'll know when you've told us to that you're completely finished. Yeah, so that's it. So that's this page, and when you finish that, you are totally finished with redesigning school counseling. So again, as always, if you have questions or comments, things you want to share with us, please just give us a call. We're working like we always do. We have a virtual office, so the whole working at home thing hasn't impacted us very much. Yeah, so give us a call or send us an email, and we'd be happy to answer any questions. And again, we know that this is really a crazy time for everybody, and our thoughts and my prayers also go out to all of you, because I know this is really hard for schools and hard for families. And so just anything we can do to help, please don't hesitate to ask. So, okay, I'll close there. And it's been a joy to work with you guys. I've told you before that your two districts are, probably maybe the best we've ever had. Very, very, very strong. It's been a joy to review your work because we can see how thoughtful you're being about it. And it's just been a wonderful year. So kudos to everybody involved, and thank you. I know that you probably didn't get an extra paycheck or a corner office for doing this, but on behalf of everybody that you're helping, and on behalf of all of our team, just thank you so much for the work that you put in. So okay, we'll close, and call us if you need help.